She couldn't explain why she felt exhausted by someone who did everything right. He texted her good morning every single day. He remembered her coffee order. He canceled his plans to be with her. He showed up, always, reliably, without being asked. And she stayed, for 2 years, feeling guilty for not being happier, apologizing for needing space, shrinking herself to match his expectations while he smiled and called it love. She thought she was the problem. She wasn't. She was in the trap. Here's the question nobody teaches women to ask. What if he does everything right is not a sign of love, but the method of control? Stay with me, because once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it. On the surface, he looks like the dream. He shows up. He's consistent. He texts first. He makes plans. He pays. He remembers. He asks how your day was and actually listens, or at least looks like he's listening. He volunteers to help you move. He watches your show even though he hates it. He softens his opinions when he senses you disagree. And it all feels safe. Until you notice something. Every single thing he does comes with a quiet receipt. He doesn't help because helping feels good. He helps because being needed keeps him close to something he's terrified of losing. He's not giving, he's investing, and investments expect returns. That's not love. That's a transaction wearing love's clothes. The name for this is covert transactional behavior, and it targets women who've been taught that a man who does everything is a man who loves them. Here's how it works on your nervous system. At first, the attention feels good. Someone cares. Someone shows up. That activates your attachment system. You start associating him with safety. But slowly, something feels off. You can't name it. You just feel watched, like you owe something, like you're a project, not a person. That's because you are, not because he's a monster, because he's running a script he was never taught to question. If I do enough, she'll have to stay. And here's what makes it a trap. When you try to leave, you feel guilty because he did everything right. What kind of person leaves someone who did everything right? You do, once you understand what everything right was actually for. Pattern 1. The man who cancels his own life to be with her, and then is genuinely wounded when she needs space. He traded his identity for access. She didn't ask him to, but now she's somehow responsible for the hole he created. Pattern 2. The man who tracks everything, every favor, every dinner he paid for, every time he let something slide. When she asserts a boundary, the list surfaces. That list was always there. He just finally showed it. Pattern 3. The man who is generous right up until she disagrees, and then the warmth disappears. The generosity was conditional. She just didn't know what the conditions were until she violated one. Dr. Robert Cialdini's research on reciprocity shows that unsolicited giving creates social pressure to return the favor. These men may not know the psychology name for what they're doing, but their behavior follows the script exactly. Here's what happens when you don't recognize this early. You spend months, sometimes years, trying to figure out why you feel guilty around someone who's done nothing wrong. You apologize for your boundaries. You shrink your needs to match his capacity. You start explaining yourself constantly because he always looks slightly wounded when you don't. The chronic guilt becomes background noise. The isolation creeps in. You stop talking to your friends about him because it's too complicated to explain why you're exhausted by someone who's so nice. And the worst part? You think you're the problem. Here's where it stops. The good guy trap only works when you don't have a name for it. Once you can see the receipt system, the conditional generosity, the quiet scorecard, it stops feeling like confusion and starts feeling like information. This is where you stop explaining yourself to someone who's been studying your reactions. This is where the fog clears. Here's what to watch for. 1. He volunteers for things you didn't ask for and then references them later. Gifts that come with memory are not gifts. 2. His mood shifts when you don't need him. If his energy drops when you're doing fine on your own, that's not love, that's dependency management. 3. He changes his opinions in real time to match yours. Not growth, surveillance. 4. He is warm in public and quietly wounded in private. The performance only runs for an audience. 5. He can't name what he wants. He only knows what he gives. That's not a partner. That's a ledger with a face. Now you know what to look for. Most people will miss it. You won't.